Yeah, and Noah, thank you very much for that important reminder about the fact that this is an ongoing thing, not a one-off. But, you know, the universities aren't the only institution corrupted here. We had a New York Times reporter who came under fire last year for praising Adolf Hitler in multiple Facebook posts. Well, apparently she was rehired by the New York Times to cover the war, the conflict between Israel and Hamas and, well, could be Hezbollah and could be Iran soon. And the New York Times seemed to shrug this off. What is happening in some of these journalistic institutions as well?
I'm not entirely sure. The AP just decided that they're not designated Hamas as a terrorist organization. And the BBC, in which I was interviewed for last week, and showed them a tweet that was still up there, claiming that Israel killed 500 citizens in an attack on a hospital, which obviously turned out to be not true, is still up there. So there are a lot of news outlets that are taking the word of a terrorist organization. And it's quite curious that people will never take the word. Any reputable news organization will not take the word of ISIS or Al-Qaeda or the Taliban. But when it comes to anti-Israel organizations, then they will just take Hamas words at face value. And this is causing bloodshed, and it's causing attacks on universities all over the world. So this this misrepresentation of the war is causing bloodshed all over the world.
And Noah, I want to ask you about Karine Jean-Pierre and her comments in a moment. But before I do, I want to ask you just quickly, what do you make of all of these news organizations out there that just simply take the word of the very bizarrely named Hamas Ministry of Health, or whatever they're calling themselves, about death toll, which is clearly propaganda and designed to create a moral equivalence between Israel and Hamas? What is your message to news outlets that may be doing this sort of unthinkingly without fully understanding the implications of what happens when they report like this?
I hope they do understand the implications by now, because the evidence is clear that this is causing bloodshed, this is causing riots, this is causing anti-Israel and anti-Semitism rise all over the world. So I hope they do. But look, we've been warning against the anti-Israel bias for a very long time. It seems like no matter what, Israel can do no right. That's just the way it is. And I don't know what else to attribute this to other than subconscious anti-Semitism, because when it comes to the Jewish people's self-sovereignty and self-governance, people feel uncomfortable with it, and they would expect anything of Israel. And look, Israel's not a perfect country because it's a country, and no country is perfect. But Israel's the only country that's afforded that. Nobody would ever take the word of a terrorist organization over a democracy in a million years. Nobody would do that. But when it comes to Israel, people allow themselves to do that.
And finally, Noah, I just want to play this little bit from Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House spokeswoman. She was asked about anti-Semitic attacks, and I played a bit of this before, but I want to play this for you and have you get your reaction. Have a listen to this.
We have not seen any credible threats. I know there's been always questions about credible threats, and so just want to make sure that that's out there. But look, Muslim and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks.
Now, she later claimed that she didn't understand the question, but how does the White House spokeswoman turn a question about anti-Semitism into something about Islamophobia?
I'm not entirely sure, especially when the American president is self-described Zionist and has been acting pretty profoundly and beautifully and powerfully about this particular war. Here's the thing. We have all learned about subconscious biases, and we all learned that we need to do our work. And when there's any kind of discrimination happening towards any other ethnicity or minority, people take heed and they stop and they listen. But when it comes to the Jewish community, we equate this to all lives matter. So when Black Lives Matter started, all of us stood by the Black community and were like, yes, Black Lives Matter. And we didn't say all lives matter around that movement. But this is what's happening right now. We are talking about anti-Semitism, marginalization of the Jewish community, discrimination, online and offline, and attacks. How can she say there are no credible threats? I can send her videos of attacks that are happening today at UCLA, at Cooper Union, at Tulane University. There are attacks every single day. So to say that she is not getting credible attacks is preposterous.
Noah, thank you so much for your time here. Noa Tishby on the U.S. Report. Look forward to speaking again, hopefully on happier circumstances.